Today at Let's Talk Marketplace, we talked about
the opportunities and challenges of selling in the United Arab Emirates. Our guest Mareike Thomas tuned in from Dubai to tell us how expats shape the UAE e-commerce.
And in the news, we took a look at the new account health insurance program of Amazon, which could protect your account against blocking in case of problems.
Definitely good to know. Have fun listening.
Let's Talk Marketplace.
The Marketplace podcast with Ingrid Lammer and Valerie Dichtel.
Welcome back, Marketplace people, and welcome to our next part in our Let's Talk Marketplace tour around the world. 2 weeks ago, we took you to Sweden together with our travel guide, Anna Nordlander. And this week, we like to travel even further and considerably warmer, I would say, even though that's hardly necessary because the sun has finally returned to Munich. Valerie, have you been able to enjoy the sun on the weekend, or were you too busy traveling around Germany?
Yeah, well, I was traveling in Germany mainly, and I was invited to the Kaufland e-commerce day and to the barbecue, but the barbecue was more an ice grilling than in summer easy, nice grilling. So barbecue, yeah. And then I was in Frankfurt with my alumni from my studies when I studied fashion textile management. And we had some great insights with Textilwirtschaft, the magazine in Frankfurt, which was quite interesting. But I would say, how was your weekend? And happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a nice weekend, thanks. Got cake for my boys and went for pizza and bowling in the evening, where I did abysmally bad, actually, but had a lot of fun. So that's the main point, is it? And yesterday I spent the whole day in the sun and doing gardening. There's still dirt all over my fingernails, I think, so that was great too. Yeah, but this is also the reason why I can never go to Kaufland e-commerce day, because they're always around my birthday. And, I like business and I like meeting people, but not on my birthday. So really sorry, Kaufland, but yeah.
Totally agree, yeah.
Anyway, right. But as I said today, let's travel to an even sunnier place. Shall we welcome our travel guide for today?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say there is no one else who is traveling as much in our industry as Mareike Thomas does, with her family and her boyfriend and her son. And I'm really inspired. Actually, Mareike is now in Dubai, right? But she came back recently from Bali and was before there, I think, in Cape Town. So
I have goals for you, Valerie.
I really love to follow you on Instagram, actually. So welcome, Mareike Thomas. She's the co-founder of the Amazon consultancy Boom Commerce and also a fellow ex-Amazonian as I am. Welcome, Mareike.
Hello. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm very, very excited for today.
Great. It's good to have you here again, Mareike. Long-time fans of Let's Talk Marketplace may remember that she's been our guest before, way back in episode 12, I think some 1.5 years ago or something. And there we invited you to talk about marketplace logistics. And I do have a feeling that some parts of that conversation will come up again today, maybe in a different way, but logistics is always a thing, I think.
Yeah, definitely logistics are part of any conversation about international expansion. But this time we didn't invite Mareike for her knowledge about logistics, but for her insights into a very interesting market, the United Arab Emirates, in short, UAE. But before we start on that, we should introduce you properly, Mareike. So after all, episode 12 has happened, I think almost 2 years ago, we would have again 3 questions to you, where we seek you to answer in 3 short answers. So who are you, Mareike?
Hey, so nice to meet you. Like you said, I think I would divide my passion for 2 things. One is definitely traveling and exploring the world, and now showing the world to my little one, which is great to see, but also through the other eyes. And the second one is for sure e-commerce marketplaces. And this mainly comes also through my past. And as you said, Valerie, I'm an ex-Amazonian. I loved working for Amazon, got all my skill sets there, or the basic of my skill sets. And in the past years, there were some developments, not just in traveling with the world, but also shifting my personal focus more and more in direction of UAE. So I would describe myself as an Amazon expert for EU as well as for UAE.
Great. And how did you learn to trade like in the marketplace business? I mean, like, how did you learn about UAE and I mean, Amazon? Okay, you got it from your Amazon experience, I guess. But how did you evolved?
Good question. And I would say there were like different stages of my journey, and all of them have been very important to get to the place where I am today. Obviously, starting with Amazon back in the days in the Berlin office, there was one very important milestone. I also found, together with my partner, our own brand, Siegertreppchen. And back in the days, Siegertreppchen was a brand purely focusing on Amazon. So we're like operating there, not just telling how it works, but actually putting our hands in the dirt and doing it ourselves. And we constantly do this today, not only on Amazon anymore. There's Shopify, there's Otto, and there are other marketplaces. Also moved to the UAE with the brand. Then we started with BoomCommerce, helping other brands constantly on how to grow, seeing what are the journeys, but also the obstacles that you have on the way. And UAE came mostly also when moving here. So I wouldn't say that UAE has been on my focus a few years ago, but since we came here with COVID back in the days, a little fun fact on the side, I did not like it the first 1, maybe 2 weeks, and then it changed tremendously. That's when also the focus came to the UAE. And I remember back then I was in a hotel, and as always, you have nothing in your closet that you want to wear. And I was like, okay, let's go quickly online and buy something. And I tried to go online and buy something. And this was maybe like 4 years ago. When was COVID? Let's say 4 years ago. And there was very little selection. The marketplaces available were not that big. And the complete customer experience was not comparable to anything that we are used in Europe. And that's when I tried to get deeper and deeper in this topic. And if I go now, like if I go in my tower in the hallway, you will see like Amazon packages and also other marketplace packages, like loading every day, coming like in front of the doors. And you see them because they're not ringing the bell here to like give you the packages. They just drop them in front of your door, and you see like, okay, Amazon, 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 Amazon. So it was like, it would have been stupid not to take it. And I was too excited to focus or like dive into this topic. So that's how the UAE focus came as well, and why I think I should be considered as the expert on this topic.
Great. And what would you say is like the USP in this topic? I mean, Amazon, UAE, Europe, like there's such a wide range. Where are you really good in?
I would consider it as, if you think about Amazon as I want to be, as a brand, that's very important. I'm focusing on brands and private label, not resellers. And the moment you're thinking about, okay, I want to expand my brand there, not just like getting my products there, but really making sales there and like lifting from 10K to 100K, for example, that's the moment you should consider, like start thinking about me for EU region and for UAE region. And because we're operating in both of the regions, we are knowing exactly, okay, what is the task that you have there, what are the challenges, and how do you also overcome those challenges to make them into like unique opportunities, going like also like from A to B and from B to A. So meaning you're an EU brand and you are about to explore this new region. Well, that's when you talk about BoomCommerce. But we do the same also for UAE-based brands, not just helping them in the UAE region, but also bringing them to the EU and making the profit of that.
Interesting. How interesting is the European market for the UAE brands?
Well, if you see it from the GMV or from the market positioning, it's super interesting from them on 2 perspectives. So perspective number 1 is the marketplace itself, and the size is much, much bigger. So we have more traffic there, we have more potential customers there. And I would describe it as a market there where like a lot of traffic is, let's say like this. And depending on the products that you are selling, it could be really, really interesting for you to make a benefit of those available customers there that could also like experience your brand. And we have like loads of cool brands also coming from this region here. Of course, on the other side, and that's the challenge that you have there, the European market is like very mature already. And I wouldn't say saturated, but there's like a lot of competition. And we have a lot of tools, obviously, also to use that. And if you're good, then you will like sell good as well. If you have like shitty products and you behave shitty and you don't know how to be on the marketplace, well, nothing will happen. So that's the other side of the position. Like, okay, if you go there, you must be good to like be able to find your position on the marketplace. And if you see it from this one and they're willing to take the challenge, then they're up for it. Whereas if you go like in the other direction, UAE, I mean, we do not have this much competition yet. Obviously, we also do not have that much traffic yet, but I think we will talk about it anyway in a bit. So for them, it's like a really great opportunity to showcase their brand as well and build also the brand expansion.
Sounds like the golden times are like right there.
Yeah, a bit of a gold rush here. Gold rush situation, I think. Interesting, right? Let's go. Let's dive into that deeper in our topic of the week for today. But as you can already see, Mareike is the perfect match for this nice conversation about marketplace business in the UAE. But before that, let's have a quick look at the latest news of last week after a quick word from our sponsor, TradeByte.
Event season is fully on its way, and do you know which e-commerce event I'm always looking forward to most each year?
Well, as you are the fashion lady in this podcast and we live both in Munich, that would be the ECD in Munich, I guess, which takes place on June 12th.
Absolutely. The ECD Munich is always a great possibility to meet old contacts and make new acquaintances and get new insights directly from your peers. It's a must-have event for all European marketplace people, especially those with a fashion, sports or lifestyle focus. And I think it's my 7th or something this year.
Well, I know you're mostly there for the contacts and the coffee, but the ECD also sports
for
a
the
great
food
conference
as well.
program too. Yeah, the food as well. That's true. That's quite good. Anyway, so this year they'll have a very interesting panel focusing on luxury goods, featuring Olga Bafan, head of global e-commerce at Philipp Plein, Francesca Barparula, director marketplace at Richest, and Ivan Pera from Moschino. And there's also Mimi Saworsky from Avocado Store and Yao Afram from the Clinton Group, and many other very interesting names on the stage. And one big name of fashion marketplaces, which the event host Alex Otto is still very hush-hush about. So lots to look forward to on the stage as well.
Yeah, well, and then on the server provider side too, the lineup is also pretty impressive with CEOs from Zalando, About You, Kaufland, Limango, Seven Senders, Fashionet, and Allegro making an appearance. So if you don't have your ticket yet, you better hurry up and have a look at www.ecdgate.com. Okay, it's like www, I'm sorry, .ecd-gate.com. We hear tickets are selling out fast, so yeah, if you're there, make sure to say hello to me.
Right, so that was the quick word from our sponsor. And then we can have a look at the news of this week. Newsflash. So, what do I have? The first one is one that Mareike can definitely comment about, because Amazon has launched a new function to protect against account blocking. So, sellers who register with the Account Health Assurance Program, AHA, will no longer be blocked directly if there are any problems with their account. So instead, Amazon promises to enter a direct exchange with them. So, sounds good. However, as only some sellers are allowed to take part in this program. You need a seller performance of 250 or higher for the last 6 months. And there must be a telephone number for emergencies in your seller central. So, but on a whole, as someone who has been looking at Amazon and how they have been treating sellers in the last years, I would say that's pretty good news. What would you say, Mareike?
Oh, fully agree with this one, Ingrid. I think especially for those who are making like an mentionable sales on Amazon, where you have a channel where you rely on, getting the account blocked is like the worst case scenario. And if anybody ever had an account block on Amazon, they know how much pain that is. Not just as most of the time also there are reasons why accounts are blocked. But even if you do something which is leading you to an account block, which can happen, it's super important to like react on it. And sometimes in the past, it was so horrible to get reaction on. That's why, I really applaud for that. I love it.
Yeah, me too. Valerie, any thoughts on that?
Well, I think like actually there should be, I mean, it's a bit sad that it needs to have an assurance for those topics, to be very honest. I understand like completely Mareike's point of view. And for those, it's really a great job. But I find it kind of sad, like in terms of like service levels. It's a bit sad that it's like necessary to do this, but I completely understand to book this thing, to book this service as Otherwise, it's not really possible to solve such topics, right?
It comes in a week. This program. I mean, Amazon must have been working on it for a longer time, but it coincides with the news that came out in the German markets, especially because the German Federal Court of Justice has said that in their eyes, Amazon has paramount cross-market significance for the online market in Germany, which is one of those labels that Amazon has been trying everything to avoid, because if you've got a paramount cross-market significance, then that opens up completely new possibilities for the cartel office to crush down really hard on the main player in this industry. So I find it interesting that these two things happen in the same week, because it nearly looks like Amazon is trying to placate the market in a way with coming up with this program. They probably don't, because as I say, it takes a bit longer to put up a program like that. But maybe it will help turn the German cartel offices a bit more lenient against Amazon. We'll see what comes out of that one. I put that news under for future reference, because I think this is something that we will come back to sooner or later, as soon as the cartel bureaus have found out what to do with this in Germany. Anyway, what else do we have? Vinted maybe. Biggest secondhand marketplace for secondhand fashion, Vinted, and they put out some figures, which is something new, because Vinted has always been very closed up about their figures. But now we learn that in 2023, the platform had a turnover of over $600 million and over 100 million users, which is really huge for a secondhand marketplace. And even more exciting, in 2023, Vinted for the first time got into the black figures and could do a profit of around 20 million euros. Right. So what do we think about that, Valerie?
Well, especially on the weekend, we had also a meeting with lots of fashion youngsters, other like a younger generation than I am. Sounds like I'm pretty old, but I'm not. But they are also oh yeah, let's shop secondhand and Vinted and then refurb and so on. And I was still nah. But I'm I just. It's not my thing, but I see in the young and target group, it's getting more and more important, and sustainability reasons, etc., etc. So it's great to see that it's finally getting profitable, because this was one of the main issues that it's often not profitable to sell, especially clothes again, and therefore it's much better for us, for nature, for everything. Yeah, so great to see.
Yeah, I also agree. I think it's great to see that finally some platform for secondhand products is making a profit, because up to now, most of the platforms don't. And I don't know, I've been looking at that trend for several years now, and I myself am a secondhand user, so I'm more, maybe a bit more lenient towards that business model than you are. But me too. I was been just waiting for someone to finally make a profit there, and so Vinted made it. Let's see. I'm still working on Vinted to come to the marketplace convention. They're just not. It's very hard to reach. Very hard to reach. Anyway, let's see. Right. Any thoughts from you, Mareike, on secondhand products?
Yeah, I was just while you were talking, I was thinking about how could you get this profitability up when it comes about secondhand, and it for sure will not be the selling price, right? And I was wondering, is there any B2B refurbished marketplaces? Because that would be pretty cool, huh?
Well, there are refurbished marketplaces that have a strong B2B part of their business, like Refurbed, for example, or Back Market or something. There, a big part of their business is they sell the refurb products to business companies as well. But and there are some B2B marketplaces as well in specialized categories. Of course, at the moment, I can't think of an example, but I did an article about those a few years ago, but I can't remember now. So yes, there are.
Let's see how they develop and if that would also help the profitability in the future.
Definitely. Right. And that's actually most of my most important or most interesting news for today. So I'd rather talk with you about UAE, I think.
Topic of the week.
Right. So let's travel way down to where you, Marika, are sitting at the moment, to Dubai. And as always, when we go on our little world trip, I took the time to put together some figures, which I'd like to hand out to start the conversation here. So in general, UAE is considered one of the richest countries in the world, with a gross domestic product of around about 460 billion US dollar. E-commerce is still rather small, with around about 15% of retail turnover comes from the online channels. But still that accounts for some 7 billion US dollars. It depends a bit on which source you're citing here, but round about that. And growing something between 9 and 12% each year. So interesting figures. And the other interesting figure that I found is that the amount spent per online purchase in Dubai is the highest in the world, with a purchase of 332 US dollar, while in Europe you have $73 per online purchase. So that's very interesting, I think. And maybe speaking about, I think the one thing that I got in the last years on UAE was actually the takeover of Souk by through Amazon I think 2 years ago, something, Marika. This is actually the first time that I really realized that this is an interesting market. And beforehand, it was sort of off radar for me. So was that just me, or was that the European market as a whole, Marika?
I think it was not just you, Ingrid. But I think it came mainly, if you see how Amazon was taking over like regions, like not taking over like Souk, like they did here in the UAE. It always starts like very, very like under the tables. Like if you take the launch of NL, or if you take the launch of Poland, etc. And I mean, you have like, if you take Poland, there's an Allegro, and they are there very dominantly, or you have a bol.com in Holland. And then it takes some time, and then like peu à peu, Amazon is getting more and more presence. And I think that's exactly the same that happened also in the UAE. If you just look on Amazon, plus the UAE also got louder in the last years, especially when it was one of the only countries open via COVID where you could travel to. I mean, there were also some positive, some negative news about that, but it got more in our attention. And now it's even that like friends and like family, obviously, but also like friends or coincidence, they reach out to me if something happens in Dubai because they hear it in the news. And I think like 5 or 6, 7 years ago, I never heard something about Dubai in the news when living in Germany.
Yeah, that's true. Sort of really off the radar. Interesting. So you said in the beginning that for you, the e-commerce market has really taken off in the last few years. If you just look outside the door and count the number of Amazon packages that are piling up there. So what has happened that this is now going rocket starting here in UAE?
Yeah, probably it's a combination of multiple things. More and more people coming to the country. So if you think about Dubai, if you think about UAE, it's not that you have only local peoples here who are like very traditional, or like this old image that we have maybe from UAE people, but it's like a high saturation of expats. So I think more than 90% are coming from all over the world. And they're coming with their habits, with their expectations. And as I said earlier, like I went online and tried to shop something, and there was nothing. So more and more people go online. If you also see like the people who shop in UAE, they the ratio has doubled in the last 2 years on like how the frequency, how often they shop. So people want like go more often online. Plus, it's also like a very service-oriented country. So it is absolutely normal here to even shop like little things online. So your normal grocery shopping, your little things that you forgot like on the way. So you don't go to the supermarket actually, and you don't go somewhere in a shop to buy. We do it every now and then, but it's very normal to shop everything just using your phone. So I think this is helping a lot. Plus, the country has like a clear vision, and they want to become the country. I can't recall. I think it was 2040, but don't judge me on this one. Maybe it was like even plus or minus a few years. But they are aiming to become like a very attractive country to live in for people all over the world. And this also involves e-commerce. So they're pushing also strongly on supporting it, like giving a lot of guidance and support to other marketplaces and locals as well to help establishing here. So it's not just a pull, but also a push, adding up to the conclusion.
Yeah, and I would also say that like during COVID times, I also saw like in my own bubble that like a lot of people, also like you, Mareike, moved also to UAE, and also a lot of like expats, and therefore, yeah, I mean they are moving there, and also they want to like have similar opportunities and to shop online, as you said. So, like looking over about the top marketplaces in the UAE, which Ingrid found somewhere. Where did you find it, actually?
Actually, that is Actindo put those together just I think 2 weeks ago or something. Which because I was looking around my general sources where I normally get my numbers, and I was astonished to see how many service providers and news agents and just people like you and me, Valerie, people who are just looking at the market and reporting things. And so many people are now reporting about UAE. So this is really something that is coming into the minds of people. Yeah. So anyway, so according to Actindo, a German service provider, the top marketplaces in the UAE would be Sharaf. And then in the second place, which I found interesting, Facebook Marketplace in Dubai. And then we get to Souk, or Amazon AE, as it's now called. And afterwards, already a newcomer, Noon.com. So I would put these 5 over to you, Mareike. Would you agree with those? Or who is the most prominent marketplace from your point of view?
Yeah, so if you walk through the city, you will see Noon a lot. So there's a lot of Noon, like science construction as well. So yes, definitely on this one. Facebook marketplaces, I think it's mainly that we're with the refurbished part again, like reselling things. Although I have to say, compared to Germany, I don't get rid of my stuff that I don't need anymore, especially when you have a baby growing who constantly needs new stuff and does not need any more old stuff. I'm trying to get rid of that and like may find somebody who can still use it. This is not going as well. And one that I would love to put on your list, Ingrid, there is Mom's World. So they are like very, very strong and dominant as well.
And is Mom's World then also like having like parent stuff and baby stuff, or is it just...
Yeah. No, very specialized, not special, yeah, specialized on especially this category, mom, kids, everything surrounded that you would need there.
Okay. And on Noon.com, what would you say? Because I saw Noon already a lot of like, also for a lot of like marketplace integrators on their integration list. What is like Noon standing for?
It's similar to Amazon, but more focused on fashion accessories. So it's also like rapidly growing, and it's pretty popular in the UAE or GCC countries. I would say compared to Amazon, they're a bit more in competitive prices. But apart from that, there's not that much difference. So if you consider going to the UAE, it's super helpful to also check on Noon. Is your product like assortment there? Is there a fit? Is your competition already there? So definitely worth a check. And if you have the chance to go to UAE, I would add it on.
Interesting. Yeah. So how is Amazon going for the UAE? Are they doing it differently here than in other countries that you have looked at?
So you see it similar from the development. So as I said in the beginning, there was like the marketplace was there, but it was suffering or missing on like selection. So it's very often that you go on the marketplace and you're like, oh, I need something. Oh, damn it, they don't have it. Or if they have it, it can happen that it's coming from overseas. So a lot of UK and US listings are shipped to UAE, which is rather unattractive on the listing side because obviously it will take longer. And if you think about Prime, I want to have it best case in a few hours. And seeing a country where you have like super speedy shipments. So if I order something on Mom's World, it will be there in a few hours. If I go to Carrefour because I want to do like grocery shopping, it will be there in 1 hour. So the local, like the people here on site, they're really, really used to getting like good service, like quick service. So if you have something coming from the US, it's obviously not quick. And this is like downsizing the listing or the marketplace attraction. But they pushed it in the last year, so there was more selection coming, obviously. And with more selection, you also have more stock available in the country or on site. And this helped a lot also to get the customers again there, because okay, I search something, I probably find it there. Okay, I come back there again, and I tell my friends, I tell my neighbors, and this was very comparable to the normal flywheel that we have on Amazon, which is helping to get like customers onboarded and getting the marketplace growing up.
Do you know how many logistics centers Amazon has already opened in the UAE?
Oh, no, I don't. I know that we have FBA by now. We did not have it in the past. So that's also like a very positive development, helping not just on-site, but especially also brands from overseas to get your products here. Plus, what we need to add on as well is that not just the Amazon warehouses here, but you have like a lot of fulfillment service partners here, which will receive your goods, do the normal storing, and then ship it to Amazon, but also to other marketplaces. And if you have an online shop here, also to your own customers.
Interesting.
So,
right. So, yeah.
If I'm a brand now from Europe and I want to go to sell in the Emirates, what are the chances I have?
I really like the introduction. I'm not sure if you, Valerie, said it or if Ingrid said it about like this gold rush, golden nuggets thing. And I think this is something you should really take with you if you're thinking about the UAE. Because as I said, there is not the big traffic, yes, as we have it in the EU or as we have it in the US. But you see it's like massively growing here. And if I like remember some conversations I had with European brands a few years ago, they were like, "Oh, I wished I would have started earlier. I would have wished I would have been there already by XYZ, and now it's so much harder." This is exactly the time that we have right now here.
Where the Amazon ads like are so cheap that you think like, yeah, let's do marketing there.
Yes, you have like cost per clicks where we're dreaming of in Germany. Your competition is not there yet. And like I said earlier, like when we are guiding brands to go to the EU, where we tell them, hey, you have to do like A, B, C, D, F. So the standard is pretty high already to be successful. The standard is lower here. So if you, I'm not telling anybody here to not fulfill the standards, but if we hand up like with this really good standards, then you're like a shining star here, and you can like really position your brand and your products here, and like collecting all those reviews, etc., and building something strong for the future.
And what do you say? Because I would say, the UAE, they have like a really, really high income, right? As you said, and the average online purchase is really high. But I would say you said already that Noon, for example, is a bit like more price competitive than even Amazon. If I have like high value products, are there also separate marketplaces to sell your luxury items there? Or is this something which is also happening on Amazon, for example?
I would definitely also put it on Amazon. So I wouldn't say that you only go with the low selling prices to specific marketplaces. Also, if you go to Noon, you have like higher, like luxurious brands. There are also like more, or let's say it differently, there are also places like if you go to Unas, where you have like very, very luxurious brands, and they're separated there. But it would not hold me back on putting them on Amazon. However, what I would definitely recommend is to make a good pricing structure. So if you're expanding to a new region, there's also linked to like prices or like costs, like cost effects that you need to consider. Like where's the goods coming from? How do they get them in the country? how's the taxation here, how's the storage here, etc., etc. And based on that, I would always build up my price structure for a specific region and also for the UAE, because in the end, yes, the UAE is like on a different side of the world, but the customers are so global. And if they see, okay, I have this product in, let's say in Germany, where I buy it for 50 euros, and now I get it in UAE for like 120 euros, then it's like a bit losing your authenticity and your brand recognition.
Oh, okay.
It's usual that prices are a bit higher here than in the UAE than in Europe. Also, if you go in stores like offline, it's a really normal case. But it should still be in line somehow, because otherwise you would feel betrayed.
Sure. But what is about products who are like around like 500, 1,000 euro?
I would say it's similar to the Amazon DE market. I mean, who's shopping their Apple products on Amazon? Probably like most of us. And it's the same logic I would recommend here as well.
And what would you say, like, speaking about, like, okay, we already talked about, like, chances and opportunities. What is about, like, what's real challenging in entering the market from the European side? What do you need in order, like, what are the basic needs you need to have in order to start there?
Yeah, good question, Valerie. And I think this is also one that you really need to consider when starting off to make like not falling into a trap. Because what is important is that you first of all you need to ask yourself the question: who is the selling part who's on the marketplace? So seeing that let's assume you have already an Amazon account in Europe, and you want to expand, you have obviously the option to just expand with your existing account with your existing company. So you could take the company as it is. Or you could also consider thinking about if you want to have a separate branch, which is located also in the UAE, using the free zones, etc., and forming this one and having a separate account. So this is the first thing that you need to ask yourself, okay, who is the one selling? Is it my existing company, or do I form a specific UAE-based company, for example, in a free zone or in a mainland? This is also relevant when you think about, okay, what is the long-term plan that I have in the region or in the country? Are we sticking purely to e-commerce? Or are we thinking also that you maybe want to have a store, maybe in a Dubai mall, where the products will be available? Then you would need a different licensing. We talked about taxation for a very short second. This is a thing that I really want to make people aware of, that in the UAE, everybody says like, oh yeah, in the UAE, we don't pay taxes and everything is like free and chill. Yes, of course, it's a different system, but we have taxation. So they just involved or included also the corporate tax 2023, and it's worth 9%. So it's of course a different value if you see it percentage-wise than in the EU, but it is there. So it is super important also to like get your books written and clean, so that you also have like an auditing. And the good thing is, I think especially we in Europe, or I mean, the Germans, we are very good in like having our taxes and our accounting clean and clear. And if you have this in your habit, you will bring it to the UAE and everything is fine. And apart from that, it's about localization. So the products that you have, and I think that's independent from Amazon, but always when you try to sell something online, you need to ask yourself, like, is the customer understanding my product? So just dropping your product in a build tool on Amazon and saying like, oh yeah, it will sell like this, is a very tricky trap. So I would not go for this one, but I would really always suggest I'm missing the word. Advice, sorry, that was the word, and always advice to really think about preparing your products, preparing your listings. Can you adjust your pictures? Can you adjust your brands? Like all these things to make sure that customers are getting your message, and always invest also in using all the tools that are available. So if there is an option of bringing more than one picture, sure, use that. Is there an option for like having a nice brand store? Yeah, go for it. So similar what we do in Europe, obviously, use it here as well to make sure that everything is understood and well converted. Because as I said earlier, customers are global as well. So they are comparing also what's happening in A and what's happening in B. And if you have like worst case scenario also contradicting information, this is like really killing your brand.
Yeah. I could also imagine that some products are even more sensitive and sensible to sell there compared to Europe, right?
Yes,
In
and
terms
also like
of
this
like
product check. Like, are you allowed to sell your product in the region? Like from the product perspective. So let's say you're selling something to eat, something to drink. Is this product even allowed to be sold here? Are you like are you maybe hurting any IP rights, for example? So independently from Amazon or from the marketplace, like the channel where you sell it, I think it's always super important to double check, like, okay, is my product ready to go there?
Turning around on that, Mareike, because recently I talked to a big brand in the home and living sector, and the person there told me that they are already successfully selling in the UAE, and that was before we talked, and I was like, okay, why don't you come to me and tell me about it? Yeah, let's do an interview. And he was like, not really, because we're doing that under the radar. Because the UAE is, let's say, a sensitive region. Yeah, for especially if you are a European brand, it can be a problem for your brand reputation if you have a big business there. That's what he told me. So, and this is why they're keeping it very hush-hush and don't like to talk too loud about it, because they're actually scared of a shitstorm. So is this something that just this brand has as a problem, or is this something that you have met in other brands as well?
I wouldn't say I have had it with other brands, but that the UAE is often coming up with topics of like respect, human rights standards, etc., labor standards, etc., is something that you hear very, very often. So even independent if it's true or not true, I think it's always something that a brand needs to consider and needs to think about how can you position yourself in it. And dependent on like what your brand is standing for, I think the most important thing is to see it as a positive chance, and to not just the opportunity to bring your brand here, but also as the opportunity to bring like new best practices to the area about, I don't know, workplace safety, about fair employment, about like policies, etc. So you could either see it as okay, it's a threat and I don't want to take the threat, or you could see it as a chance where you say, okay, I'm part of this economic development that we have here, and I'm pushing and I'm bringing like the sparkle to it, to like make my part of that.
So a bit of a thing about story framing, actually.
Yeah. Back in the days when I was working with Amazon still, and customers or selling partners were asking about like, should I go to Amazon? Should I use their warehouse? I mean, there are those bad news in the news. Yes, there are, but it's always like the perspective about who is asking which question, and it's always about, okay, what is the cost behind it?
Interesting. Do you have any examples for brands that are open about it, that are using the UAE as a market for them, European brands, for example, that are already selling successful there?
Yeah, so there are a few, and there are more and more coming, not just from fashion industry, but also from other industries. There are also like home and living brands. There are brands also coming from beauty products. So it's more and more different brands coming to the UAE. And I think it's a fun play if you go on Amazon.ae and you search for something to see, okay, who is actually there. And the good thing about Amazon is that you can see who is actually the seller of the product. And you would see, okay, is it the brand themselves or is it somebody else taking care of it?
And is it more other people taking care of it, or is it the brands themselves, like on a whole?
No, I would say it's like dependent. So if you have a big brand who is not doing it themselves in the EU, it's mostly the case also that's in the UAE, not their own brand. But you have like big brands like Black & Decker. You have electronics there. You have Ugreen there. So a lot of things happening here, coming also over to our region.
Right. Okay. Interesting. I know you're an expert on brands and D2C brands, but maybe you have looked at Amazon AE. If you look there, do you see retailers from Europe as well?
Very good question, to be honest, Ingrid. And I couldn't tell you. I would be guessing now, and that would be weird if I say something wrong then afterwards.
Okay. Right.
But actually, what you can say from that is like, if it's not like a clear yes, then it's like a maybe not. Huh?
Yeah, but well, let's see. So over to you, our listeners. If someone of you is selling already in the UAE and you're a retailer, let us know, because I'm generally interested in that. Because is that just a brand topic, or is that a retailer's topic as well? Would retailers even consider that market already or not? Interesting one, I think.
Yeah. And also let us know if you are a brand and you are planning to do, or if you are already selling there, which would be super interesting to share, to put you in contact. And you can also write private messages about it.
Yes, if it's as hush-hush as in that case that I was talking about. Right. So our time is up, Mareike. Thank you very much for that little insight into interesting and emerging markets. Speaking about gold rushes, this is really an interesting region for that. So I hope all of our listeners had fun listening to you and considering this new possibility there. So, and if you like listening to us, you could make us very happy by following us and rating our podcast on Spotify, of course, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to us, Right. So next week, the episode isn't going to be in German, and there we go talking about fraud in the marketplace payment and how to avoid it. So that's going to be a hot one, I think.
Definitely, yes. And in 2 weeks' time, you can listen to the two of us talking in English with a colleague of yours, Ingrid.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. We will be joined by Chris Dawson, Chief Editor of the British e-commerce and marketplace information platform Channel X, who I've been following religiously for years, I think. And Chris will talk with us about his experiences of TikTok Shop in the British market, because TikTok Shop is there already active since over 2 years. They started their first international expansion. And now it's a big part of the British e-commerce as well already, and I think Chris can tell us a lot about that, which is highly relevant considering that TikTok Shop will most likely start in Germany somewhere around Christmas and elsewhere in Europe as well. So good to be prepared.
Sounds great. So be sure to tune in and follow us and register for our newsletter on www.marketplace-universe.com. and subscribe there. It's a pleasure to read every week our Marketplace Universe Weekly, where we give you a wrap up about the topics we shared here in the podcast, and give you also in reading form our insights. So have a good week, and until next time.
See you then.
You listen to Let's Talk Marketplace,
the Marketplace podcast with Ingrid Lommer and Valerie Dichtel.